Hey everybody, welcome back behind the bar for an interesting video. I got called out by my man Joe over at Joe's Arcade and beer reviews and foodie reviews and whatever the hell he's calling his channel these days. Vlogging for the rest of us. Just giving him our time. He got called out. I think Niche actually started this. If you don't know who she is, I will leave a link to her channel below. She is overseas, I believe in France. I love her channel. I love watching her videos. I don't really comment a lot, but she's one of my favorite ones out there. So it was cool to see her do this. And she called out Joe, and basically it's a frequently asked questions type of thing. And it's questions that we're all kind of asked. And that we can just kind of go through and answer, and so you guys can know a little bit more about us. I've answered a lot of them in previous videos. But yeah, let's just dive in. So it is 9 questions. Yeah. 9, and we'll just go in order and I will answer them, and at the end I'm calling out some people. We're supposed to call out 5. I think if we do that many we'll get through everyone really quickly. Although there are a lot of beer tube reviewers and beer people on YouTube. But anyways, so first off, how did you get into beer geeking and why beer? That's a great question that I don't know if I know the answer to. By the way, I'm completely winging this. I watched Joe's video 2 or 3 days ago, and I don't remember all of them. So how did I get into beer geeking? Why beer? I started getting into beer. I've been into craft beer for like over 10 years now. It started when I was in college, and it just kind of grown more so exponentially in the last couple years. Once I got into like beer trading and got into like really expanding my beer palette and getting out into the rest of the world of beer, because I live in Kansas City, which our beer scene, we have a really good thriving beer scene, but from a brewery standpoint, it kind of isn't that great. We have a couple of pretty good breweries, but nothing that is world class in my opinion, which isn't a bad thing. It's in its infancy, and we're trying to get it there. But so I trade for a lot of stuff. I trade constantly, not as much anymore, but up until about 6 months ago, I was trading hardcore and buying stuff from other markets. And I don't know. So I think once I got into trading is really when I got into like the beer geek status, which was probably about three or 4 years ago. I got really hardcore into it actually with Joe and I. I'd done a few beer trades, but him and I started trading beer all the time and got into where we're just really seeking out new beer, and it kind of exploded for both of us actually through that into this thing that it is today. He did beer reviews, and he was just like, dude, you should do beer reviews. And I was like, I could try it. So I filmed some on my phone, and people liked them, so I kept going. So that's kind of where it started, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago when I got into trading and stuff like that. I was kind of always a snob before that, maybe for a few years, but yeah, so that's kind of beer geeking. That's kind of how it all started for me. And why beer? I don't know, it tastes delicious. I don't know, I'm into wine and bourbons and all sorts of stuff, so whatever, I love getting into the nuances of things and really good quality things to consume, and food as well. I'm a foodie, so I think they all just kind of go hand in hand. It's not just beer for me, but it's the one that I drink the most and am into the most. So number 2, what is your favorite beer? Well, that's interesting. So kind of the beer that I drink more often, not just special occasion beers. My favorite beer is probably Green from Treehouse, which is stealing an answer from Joe. That is the GOAT, the greatest of all time in my opinion. Single IPAs, everything that I do in brew goes towards like, achieving that quality in my mind when I drink it. That would be that. As far as special occasion beers, for me, SR71 by Toppling Goliath, and I've had all their big beers, including KVS and all those, and I actually prefer SR, so that would be my favorite overall, but that's something I've had twice in my life and probably won't ever have again. So if you could have one beer forever, what would it be? This is a tricky question, and I'm gonna probably give oh man, it's tough. I don't know. One beer forever. I mean, something that I could just crush all the time would probably be something like, I don't know, I want to say like Bell's Two Hearted, but not even that. Probably fresh, like really fresh, just shoots, fresh squeeze. That beer goes like downhill real quick, but if it's super fresh, I love that beer. Something along those lines. Two Hearted would be up there. Something that's more traditional, that's really crushable for me. I think I would never want to get burned out on like the Treehouse beers or anything like that. Another beer that I love that I drink all the time that is not a high praise beer, I love Serendipity from New Glarus. It's going to sound weird, but I always have bottles of that beer lying around and we can't even get it here. But anytime I talk to somebody in Wisconsin that's coming down or anything, I always have that beer coming to me. I love it. So that would probably be something that's not an IPA. That would probably be that beer. And I've never reviewed it, which is weird. How can you drink so much? How do you stay healthy? Well, I'm not exactly healthy. I'm trying though. So if anybody that watches my channel is watching this, you probably notice I don't post beer reviews as much as I used to. It's because I stopped kind of drinking beer a lot. I really don't drink during the week. I try to only drink in social situations, like if I go to bottle shares with friends or things like that. I really try not to drink on my own just because I was gaining weight and I've never been a skinny person. But I've really gotten into eating a lot healthier. Actually, Joe's inspired quite a bit of that with his vlogs and even before that. And I'm actually down to eating meat like 2 or 3 days a week now, which is really weird. But I've really tried to cut beer out. And we're in a, spoiler alert, I don't know if Joe talked about that in this video that he just did or another one. When I review beer, what you see me drink on camera is usually it. Unless it's a mind-blowing beer, like something that I give like 100 or a 99, I'm probably not drinking the rest of it because I will do 5 or 6 beer reviews at a time, and it's impossible to do that without just getting shitty, and I don't want to do that. So I typically pour everything out. Even if it's stuff that I purchased, I do. So trick of the trade, guys. I don't drink them all. That was number 4. Number 5, are you an alcoholic? No, absolutely not. Like I said, I really don't even drink that much anymore. This is the first beer I've had since I went to Perennial last Thursday. And even then I'm just having it because I thought I needed to have the camera on and it's part of a question. So I decided to do it. So no, absolutely not. I think that there are people that can be that way. I have an addictive personality, so I get where it can come from. I think I was more addicted to new beer and having that next check. I will say that I got into that pretty hardcore and spent a shit ton of money on it. But that's something that's one of the things I've tried to get away from and why I've tried to get, like, I haven't gotten like the last like 4 Treehouse big, or maybe even more than that, 6 to 10 big Treehouse releases. I don't get anything from most anybody unless somebody sends it to me. I'm really not buying beer anymore. So no, absolutely not. What's my favorite ingredient? Joe said hops. I'm actually going to go with Nich's answer and go with yeast. Because I think yeast provides so much unique character to different styles of beers. If I was just talking about IPAs, I would definitely say hops, although I think yeast plays a large role in that as well. I absolutely have to go with yeast because it adds so much character. Like you can brew the same beer and change the yeast and create kind of a completely different tasting beer, and I love that. I think that a lot more care and character goes into yeast and how you use it in a beer with temperatures, and there's a lot more precision there. So I actually think yeast. So number 7, do you brew? I do. And I've been brewing a lot lately for a lot of reasons, but this is actually my newest creation with some friends. This is actually a double IPA, about 8.2%. It is my attempt at a New England style double, and I'm going to be honest, we crushed it. So it is Galaxy and Citra, and it is hazy and creamy and amazing. This beer is ridiculous. So that's just me. If I was grading this, it would be extremely high, and that's just not because I brewed it, but because it's ridiculous. What was your first beer? 2 answers to that. I'll give you the one that I remember but don't remember, and then the one I kind of do. When I was 4, my brothers are a lot older than me and took me to a bowling alley after hours that my parents owned and had a little bit of a party that I don't think my parents actually knew about, and had Busch Light. I remember the horse on the can, and let me try some, and I remember it was absolutely disgusting. And that would be number 1 when I was 4 or 5, somewhere in there. That's child abuse, right? And then part number 2, when I was in high school, me and a buddy, his name is Derek, we snuck a lukewarm can of Coors Light from his dad's fridge to my house, and drank about half of it. And I remember my parents coming home and we got panicked and hid it. And I never knew where he hid it, and I could never find the can. And like 2 years later, my mom comes upstairs furious with me because she found it in the laundry room behind some shelves. And I was like, hey, great story, but that was actually from 2 years ago and I didn't remember where it was. So that was about in high school. So, and who in the beer world do I look up to? But I'll go back to that question. I'll actually say if it's first beer or craft beer. Craft beer I got into in college. We did this poker night every Thursday from sophomore year on in college. And I got into Newcastle, which I've talked about before on a video. And it kind of progressed to Boulevard Wheat and some other beers. And I would always go get, both Thursdays before poker, go get a 6-pack, go pound it while I was playing poker every Thursday for 3 years. Pretty much. We took a couple breaks, but not much. And I tried new craft beers every time. I was trying Stone IPA. I was trying Deschutes, Lagunitas, whatever I could find. So that's how I got into craft. And then lastly, who in the beer world do I look up to? That's a great question. And I don't really, that's a hard one to answer. There's a lot, as far as like breweries and brewers and things like that, there's not really anybody. To be honest with you, I've had a lot of people in the craft beer world that are brewers that are extremely nice and have helped me out quite a bit, that have actually helped me get this science down. It just tastes like pineapple juice, guys. Pineapple and mango. And I there's not really one that I can think of. I really don't. I mean, as far as brewers, I mean, the guys at Aslan, Andrew over there is fantastic, and I look up to what they do there. I mean, Nate at Treehouse is the epitome of what I would want to be as a brewer, and the care that goes into the beers that he brews and how he's kind of changed a lot of breweries that are opening now and what they're doing. But there's really not one. I couldn't think of one. As far as people in the industry or just around that I look up to, that I admire, I mean, this is going to be cliche and people that watch my videos are going to think this is crazy. And he called me out. Joe is actually one that I admire. That guy has brought a lot to my life, that we've been friends for, hell, we're going to be going on 3 years this year, I think. Or is it 2? I don't know. Maybe it's 2. He would be one that's changed a lot for me. A lot of things that he doesn't even know about. And then, just people that I've, friends with. I mean, another person, Eric Wood, that had his beer channel and actually gave up beer for a lot of reasons. I admire the fuck out of that guy. After everything he's been through and how he's handling his life these days, that's a guy I definitely admire in the beer world, even though he's doing coffee reviews now. So yeah, that would be it, really. Yeah, so I'm supposed to call out 5 people. I'm just going to call out some beer channels because that's just how I'm going to do it. Buds and Suds. This counts as 2 because Adam and Brian are 2 people. So I'm calling both of you out. You can do it in one video, separate videos, however you guys want to do it. If you want to do it, whatever. So that's 1. I'm going to go with over at Crafty Beer Reviews. You're going to have to go on camera and do this as well, my friend. I'm going to go with Massive Beer Reviews. Matt, I think his name's Matt, over at Massive Beer Reviews. I don't think he subscribes or knows my channel, but if he happens to catch this, I like his stuff. Even though he's an Arsenal fan, go Chelsea. That would be one that I'll call out. And then the last, if he watches this, he's getting started in the beer review game. I think it's called HOORAY Beer Reviews or something like that. I apologize, man. I didn't look up the name of your channel. And I think it's still live because he was getting started back up and he's done a couple of beer reviews. His editing is top notch. That's my man Double G, Jeff, over there. Call you out as well. How you got in the craft beer game? I would actually be curious about your story, sir. But that's it. So what we're going to do, Joe, thanks for calling me out. For everybody else that made it to the end of this, if you're curious, I know I'm not posting that much these days, and I kind of explained why. I do have some reviews that are old, like a few weeks old, that I need to post. One that was filmed on my phone. Narrow Gauge Stout review, Chaos, if anybody has been looking around at that whale. Chaos, I did a review of that with my man Chad. I'll get that posted. I might just post them all tomorrow so they're all out there. And then I did Imperial Coffee and Cigarettes that my man Scott sent me. So those are all coming this week. I'll probably edit all of them tonight and just post them all. And then I'm done with it and up to date. So that's where we'll leave it, guys. Thanks for coming behind the bar. I hope you like this. I might do more stuff like this. So if you have questions about stuff, if stuff is common or people want to know the answers to, ask me. Happy to answer it. And maybe you'll see more of beers like this that I'll review. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming behind the bar. Thank you for the likes, subscribes, and comments. Till next time.